Have you ever wondered how to turn your passions into a powerful business that attracts clients, has a purpose, and grows beyond what you ever thought was possible? If so, you're in the right place because in today's episode, our guest, Fitz Koehler, a cancer survivor, thriving business owner, and sought after keynote speaker, will show you how. Hello, friend. I'm Kendra, and you've tuned into the Invisible to Invincible podcast, where passionately driven business owners share their journeys from hidden gems to industry leaders. Together, we'll uncover the secrets, mental shifts, and visibility and marketing strategies that turn these hidden gems into undeniable forces. So hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. And welcome, Fitz. Thanks for being here today.
Oh, I have been looking forward to talking to you, Miss Losi. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. So, for people who are tuning in, can you please give everyone an idea of your background and how you got to where you are today with your awesome fitness business and all that
Yeah,
you do?
yeah. So the gist of who I am and what I do now is I help people live better and longer by making fitness understandable, attainable, and fun. And I do that in a very noisy way. I have a master's in exercise and sports sciences. I haven't taught in a gym in probably 25 years. So everything I do is via mass media. My craving is to connect with an enormous amount of people. And even though teaching a class with 10 people is fun, or 50 people, whatever, it's unsatisfying to me. I want more. I want more always. So it's TV, radio, books, magazine, podcasts. I do a ton of keynotes and race announcing, which is such a freaking blast. Oh my God. But I started off teaching fitness when I was 14. I had blown out my knee playing soccer, went to rehab, thought maybe I'll be a PT. And then I
Mhm.
started to start messing with my incision post surgery. And I thought,
Oh,
yee, no, thank you. I'm very squeamish. So PT was
yeah.
off the table. And I went to the gym. I went to Spa Lady in Fort Lauderdale. My
Oh,
mom lied. She lied. She said I was 15 when I was only 14, so I could have a membership. But I started using the machines, really enjoyed that. I started taking classes. I thought the instructors were super cool. And I was working at Cinnabon. Man, Cinnabon manager got real mean, and so I quit there and I applied at
mhm.
Spa Lady, and they hired me, and I fell in love. I loved connecting with people. I loved helping people. I'm a do-gooder by nature. I just love people and I want to serve. It's how I roll. So I went to college at UF, and throughout college, I started having some interesting experiences. So I taught fitness on a cruise ship when I
Oh,
just turned 20, and I taught on the nicest ship in the world in Europe. We sailed from New York to France, England, Russia, every
mm,
country in Scandinavia, and then we went to Estonia, which I had never even heard of Estonia. And so I started thinking, okay, well, this is interesting. And truthfully, what I thought from the start is I love fitness, but you can't buy a home and pay off cars and take your kids
right.
on vacation if you teach fitness at a gym. Like that's just not a career. And I was
Yeah.
practical about that. So I loved the work, but I could see there was no real future, at least not one that would fulfill me. And so that was interesting. When I came back to Gainesville for the fall at UF, there was a
Mhm.
TV producer who was casting a TV show with a few instructors. And so I auditioned and he hired me. And I learned two things right then. I learned that my skills were transferable,
Yeah.
that teaching to a live audience was equally comfortable to me to teaching to a camera. And then that's also once the show started airing and it aired all over the place, strangers started approaching and saying, "Oh, are you Fitz? I love you. I love your show. I work out. I record it when you're not on, and I've lost 17 pounds, or my back no longer hurts." And I was blown away by that. I thought, golly, I mean, I don't even know them, and I got to help them. That was so powerful. So I turned my career. I did this major. I know how to make fitness a career. I will
Mhm.
create it. It's something that doesn't exist, and I will make it happen. And everything I do is to forward facing to reach the masses. And here's the other thing: is you never enjoyed charging individuals. Taking money from people who would have inevitably become friends or feel like family felt awkward. Now corporations pay me. When I do keynote presentations, a company like Disney or Oakley or Office Depot, they say, "Here's money. You were great. You served." And I say, "Thank you." And then I deposit it and I feel wonderful. So I really get to help people for free. There's only a few ways that an individual can give me money. And then I get to help these big brands support their massive audiences. So that's my origin story. And it's evolved over the years. LinkedIn just told me 32 years of Fitness International. I just hit 32 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you very
That's
much. Very, very proud.
amazing.
Thank you.
It's amazing to me that, you hear a lot of people pivoting their business, pivoting their careers. I just pivoted my business a year ago from from overwhelm and doing too many things to narrow it down and put it under my name. So it's amazing that you had the vision 32 years ago to do this and create this amazing thing.
Well, thank you. And what's interesting? I actually teach I speak for universities as well. I'm always connecting with students because really I want to help them figure out their dream career too. And I have my dream career, but I knew back when I was in grad school, I'd be sitting in class with all of my peers wanted to be athletic directors or coaches or marketing for a pro hockey team or whatever. I knew there was absolutely 0 jobs that I could apply for that would satisfy me. There just wasn't something out there. So I
Yeah.
had to create it. And thank goodness for, the American way, right? Is find your passion and then become as good as you can at it, learn as much as you can, practice as often as you can, and then build from there. I used to charge $15 an hour for my services. Things have changed dramatically since then. But you
Thank
have to
God, right?
you have to start at whatever X amount an hour to get to the good stuff.
I am just so impressed with your foresight, your vision. And it's one thing that, I actually just created a bucket list guide for people for their careers, for their like professional life bucket list guide to work through because there's so many people that I talk to who are, mid-career, midlife, and they're trying to figure out that what they want because working in the traditional jobs or whatever they're doing hasn't been satisfying. So to have the vision, the mission, and honestly, the fortitude and the discipline, and to follow those things that really fill you up, it's just so, so impressive. And where
Well,
like, how did you know? How did you just when did you like, do you remember what made you decide to do that?
it's funny when I started teaching fitness, I mean, I fell in love right away. I loved it immediately and I did it as much as possible. I taught all the classes, I did personal training. I would show up and I would volunteer doing presentations for youth groups like Girl Scouts or high schools or speak to weight
Mhm.
loss groups. I believe in this. I want to help share it. But when I again, I didn't think it was a viable career. So I
Yeah,
was in career planning class my last semester at UF, and I thought I was going to go to law school because besides fitness, my other passion is my freedom. I'm a raging patriot and a huge fan of the Constitution, and I truly get what it means to be an American. I always have. That's something I was raised with, and so I thought, public service. I would consider the military, but I'm too cowardly to stand in front of big guns. So I thought I'd run for office. For governor of Florida has always been the goal up until recently because politics are just too
yeah,
hostile for me.
yep,
I'm not down for that anymore. But that was the goal. So poli sci degree. I was going to go to law school, not because I wanted to be a lawyer. I just thought, all the other politicians I see are lawyers. So that's what I have to
yep,
do.
yeah,
So final semester at UF, I take this career planning class, and they asked me to do something which I think anybody who is not in a career that they love should do. The teacher said, make a top 10 list of things you love to do, not things you love to do for work, just things you love.
yeah, yep,
Then make a top 10 list of things you hate,
yep,
loathe, can't stand. And so I did this list, and on the top 3 of my love list were I loved sports and fitness, I loved
mhm.
music, and I loved helping people. And that's pretty cheesy, but that was my top 3. The
No, those are
top 2 things on my hate list, number 1 was sitting down, and number 2 was reading. And what do lawyers do all day? read, right? So that really was an aha moment where I thought, uh-oh. And then I looked over to the love list and I thought, well, golly, I'm already doing that. How do I turn this into a profession? Because we all know the difference. There are jobs and there
Yep,
are professions. And
yep.
profession is for something you're actual expert at and you're making it a real living. I also have a real aversion to debt. Like owing anybody even $5 gives me immediate stomach ache. So I knew I wanted to have a debt-free existence. So yeah, I mean, I needed to figure out how to put it all together and working via mass audiences. I knew that was my forte. That's actually my skill set. But how do you make that happen? I had to figure out how to incorporate. I got a trademark. That wasn't fun, but I did it. And then I was a wimp in business, so I had some real aha moments along the way, helping me figure that out. So it's not all been easy. In fact, there's been a lot of mistakes, which is why I speak at universities. I feel like, you know what? I'm going to help them learn from my mistakes. They'll make their own, but they
Mhm.
won't make my mistakes, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm finally getting good at business. I think I'm pretty decent now, and the fitness thing has always been a forte for me, but business is tricky and challenging and obviously very rewarding too, right?
I it's so interesting. I've talked to so many gym owners, and my sister's a physical therapist. Like, I've talked to so many
Great
people
for
in
it.
the fitness area,
Yeah.
and you could say this for just about any industry that's not focused on business specific, is that everyone loves what they do, right? You don't go into fitness, you don't go into PT, you don't go into owning a gym because you're excited to do the business side of things.
Right.
And so, especially, like, I just find that some people I talk to, I just feel so bad because they need to be so good at what they do, and they need to be good at business, or at least understand it to know who to trust to hire the right people.
We all do. We all do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so and I almost think I like that specific audience, I always feel more for just because I know so many, and it's
Right.
always been like, it seems so opposite brain, whether you're an artist, any of those types of jobs or careers where your passion's over here and you have to learn these things.
Yes. Yeah. The business side was not natural to me at all. In fact, I reached out. I learned some in college about business, but not really because you know what? Most college professors have never been in
It's
business. They're
true. It's
academics
true.
who are good at book knowledge and
Mhm.
three cheers for them, but it's different, right? But my
Yep.
brother is a business owner. The man who owns a gym here in Gainesville, Joe Cerulli, he was president of IRSA, the International Health and Racket Sports Association. He's one of the best businessmen I know. I have a friend who owned a salon. I just took friends who knew stuff and I would say,
Mhm.
"Hey, I have this predicament. Can you give me some guidance?" And that really, really went a long way. And then just kicking your own can. So you want to, this is one of my aha moments. So I also was a competitive kickboxer for 10 years. Basically, throughout my whole 20s, I fought. And early on, I garnered a bunch of attention. So right now, fight sports are very popular. It wasn't like that back in the
Right,
day.
yeah.
There
Yeah.
was very few women fighting, definitely a few kickboxers, and not many my size. So when I started fighting, I got a lot of attention. There was a lot of magazines who were constantly doing features on me. And I'd be so excited. They'd fly me to California and take my pictures and da 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 the interview. And I was thrilled. I'd go to the bookstore to get these articles and they'd open it up and there'd be all these beautiful pictures and they would spell my name wrong. They
Ah,
would make up quotes. And I
yeah.
also was getting a master's in exercise sports sciences. So my role as an expert trying to help people, that's some of the content in these articles was
Mhm. Mhm.
spreading knowledge, helping others. And they would just
Mhm.
make stuff up make me look stupid. And golly, I really wanted to
Ah,
write the articles. I desperately wanted to write the articles, but I was afraid to ask. And so that went on for about 2 years. And finally, I left a particularly brutal training session. It was me versus 8 people. I did 8 rounds. They each only did one. It was training for a fight. And I was pretty banged up. And I get in my Jeep when I'm done. I go to the bookstore, I get the magazine. I'm so excited, get in my Jeep and I open it up and it's garbage again, more garbage. And I was so frustrated. And then the light bulb went off and I thought, oh my God, you stand in a ring surrounded by thousands of people with someone wants to knock you clear unconscious. and you're afraid to ask if you could write the article, and I just all of a sudden, I realized how stupid I was being, so, I was like, "God dang it," and so I drive back to the office, and I pick up the phone, and I call, I think it was Bob with Black Belt Magazine, and I said, "Hey, Bob, this is Fitz." "Hey, Fitz, how are you doing?" I said, "I'm great, Bob. I got a question for you." He said, "Okay." I said, "I would like to write an article for you." He goes, "Oh, that would be great." And then he goes, "And how much do you want?" And I thought, he
Oh,
said, "Yes, and he's gonna give
oh,
me money?" I mean, what have I been doing for 2 years? I'm such a coward, and so I wrote that article. It was called "How to Kick People in the Head," and I taught how to get the strength to get your legs up that high, how to build the flexibility to get your legs up that high, and then how to trick people into moving their head into your foot to create that literal head-on collision.
oh,
And so and they gave me money. I don't remember how much, but they gave me money for it. And then a few weeks after it got published, I got a handwritten letter in the mail from a guy in Kentucky who reached out and said, "Fitz, I just wanted to thank you. I've been doing, I don't know, whatever combat sport forever. And because of your article, I finally kicked someone in the head." And I just thought, I was the impetus for someone getting kicked in the head. So much like the show Reaching Strangers, this was a very big deal for me, but, it was my fault that I hadn't reached tens of
yeah.
thousands of people for the 2 years prior because I too stupidly was getting in my way with the
Mhm.
refusal to ask to put myself out there, and what's the worst that can happen? He's Someone's gonna say no, big whoop.
I was talking about this the other day with one of my clients that when I decided to go live and start doing live streaming for the first time for my previous business, I was so nervous, I just kept putting it off. And
Uh-huh.
I used to interview people. I was a light journalist coming out of college. Then I made $10 an article, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
robbery for all the work that goes into it. But anyway, I taught at university classes, online, in person. Like I was used to presenting myself in marketing and I was used to interviewing people. And it wasn't until like I just kept putting it off and putting it off, putting it off, starting. And it wasn't until I was having coffee with a friend. He was like, "Well, don't you teach online?" I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "So you're in front of a camera talking?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, he actually, like, almost did
Very cool.
everything but draw it out for me of, like, "Why are you afraid to do this when you're already doing this, 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 and this?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "'Cause it has a different name. I don't know."
Hopefully, your listeners that you're sharing with me right now, hopefully, whatever's holding you back, guys, try and figure out what's the worst consequence that could happen if you pursued. I mean, for me, I compared it to, if what I'm asking for does not yield bleeding, bruising, or broken bones, then I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if it doesn't cause you bleeding, bruising, or broken bones, go for it. That's a theory or a philosophy that's not just relevant to me. Uh, there's no harm in trying, and if you fail, okay, revamp and try again. Life's short.
Absolutely.
Life is very short.
It's so short, and there's so many people that I hear that I talk to, and I'm sure you run into this too, where, "Oh, I can't do that because." And it's like, are they reasons or are they excuses? Like, what is it? Is it a valid thing, or are you just putting stuff in front of yourself so that you don't have to, so you don't have to be uncomfortable?
Yeah, what do they say? Can't is something capable people say to excuse themselves from trying. Nobody's buying
Yeah.
it. You say you can't. You can't, like, for me, people say I can't run, and I feel like, yeah, you better have zero legs with that attitude. And because I see people with zero legs running full marathons right now.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, and prosthetics. So it's real. It's real. But yeah, I mean, you're lying to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Just get through the hard stuff, grit it out, be willing to be embarrassed, be willing to fail, be willing to maybe lose a little money if you have to invest in products to get whatever kind of business you want to get started. And then I also think don't leave your day job until you're starting to have some success in the other area. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can start moving in the direction of the thing you really are passionate about.
I think people forget that it doesn't have to be all or nothing, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I think to your point about don't be afraid to fail is also don't be afraid to learn from it. Like, if you approach it as a learning experience versus this giant thing that you have to succeed at, you're going to be happier, because when you start to look at how you measure success and what you take away from it, if
Yeah,
you failed, in some cases, that's awesome, because what did you learn from it that you won't do again,
that's right.
that you
That's
won't have to experience, and that you could potentially, depending on what you do, you could share with someone else to make sure that they don't go through the same thing.
Yeah, so Michael Jordan, I think his claim to fame is he's the largest failure in basketball ever. Like the amount of fails he had, the amount of missed shots, lost games, all of those things is pretty phenomenal. Yeah, the same mentality works in fitness. There are so many
Mhm.
I can't, so many excuses. People think, well, I exercise once, I'm not there, I give up. Right. Well, if you're going to learn a language, you don't just take one class and all of a sudden, boom, you're fluid. It's a progression, right? You give a little bit of effort every day or most days, and eventually you get there. I have started this kind of thing I'm doing. I started learning guitar this year. I've never played guitar in my life, but about 4 months ago, I decided, you know what? I would like to take lessons. And so I borrowed a guitar and I started taking lessons. I hired an instructor who's very affordable. And since then I've joined a Dancing with the Stars ballroom dancing competition.
Ooh.
Yeah. So and I do not know how to do that, but I'm learning. So I have a podcast, The Fitzness Show, and one of my most popular podcasts recently is do something you're bad at. That's the title. And
Mhm.
so whatever it is, whether it's underwater basket weaving or cooking or painting or singing, start with something you're terrible at. Nobody's been more terrible at the guitar than I was on day one. But now I'm mediocre at the guitar, and that feels really, really big to me. And every time I
Mhm.
learn a new song or a new chord of a song, it's constantly confirmation that I'm doing the right thing. And business is the same way. But yeah, maybe get a habit, a hobby, and start there. Start there, being bad, and then eventually getting good. And that might give you the courage to move forward in your professional world.
Absolutely. That's great advice. It's funny, you were talking about people like do exercising once and then being upset they haven't lost any weight or made any changes. I was at a conference, and Simon Sinek, the person that wrote Start With Why and has that TED
Okay.
Talk from 2008, which is forever long ago at this point in time. But he was talking and he's like, you don't go to the dentist and brush your teeth once the day before you go. You brush your teeth every day. Sometimes, most people multiple times a day,
No,
because you're going to get the results you want. If you just brush your teeth once before you go to the dentist or once ever, you're not going to have the results you want because you didn't put in the work to do the
yeah,
expectations. So why do we assume that that's going to work for all these other areas of our life?
yeah. It's weird. It's super weird. And then I the amount of people who are just so down on themselves. And a few years ago, I did cancer. Cancer was
Mhm.
not a lot of fun. It was a tough time, but one of my saving graces was the fact that when I'd approach something that was terrifying, whether it was a scan or chemo or this or that, there was always something scary. The girl in my head, she wasn't saying, "Oh my God, you're going to die. Oh my God, you're this, you're that." The girl in my head was saying, you can do this. You can do hard things. I've seen you in action. I've seen you've raised two great kids. You built a global business. You used to be a competitive kickboxer. You can do this. And so that's really what people need to program. And you can program. You can't just,
Yeah.
oh, my mom says this. She's 83 years old. And she'll say, she'll declare one of her bad habits the fault of her mother. I say, Mom, you're 83. You've chosen to be this way for the last, let's say 75 years. I've given you past 8. But yeah, start coaching yourself up instead of putting yourself down. That is all the difference in the world. And even though yeah, I'm well supported, I think many of us have friends, we have family, we have a someone,
Yeah.
when it comes to sickness, when I was sick, I was the only one who could take the pokes. I was the only one who could take the chemo. None of those supporters of mine could step in
Right.
for me on surgery day. It was a very lonely experience, but it was one that I needed to summon my own courage and my own confidence. And I did it every single day for a year and a half. It was rough, but I did it. And so in work, perhaps you take on the mindset that it's not cancer, this is not war. There's some really scary things in the world. Cancer,
Yeah.
yes. War is scary. Go to Israel or the Ukraine right now. I'll tell you, they'll teach you about what fear really looks like, or a cancer ward, right? So when you take on a new challenge, you're going to make a call or write a letter or invest, know that this is an opportunity. You should be excited. This is the type of thing where you should fill yourself with hope, and don't be overconfident. You want to make sure you're practicing your skills. So when it comes time to perform whatever it is, whether it's accounting or singing, you should be the best at it. You've learned, you're constantly reading books and listening to podcasts, trying to become the utmost authority on whatever you're doing, but freaking go for it. Go for it. Again, life is short. Life is short. And if it's not war and it's not cancer, you should give it a
If it's not over here and if it's not over there, you have no reason not to do it.
try.
It's so empowering. It's so true as well. And, when I think of the mindset shifts and some of the things that I've gone through personally and that I've had, clients go through, and it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And, all of us have done hard things,
Yeah.
and all of
Yeah.
us can do hard things. One of the things that I've been talking about a little bit, because I don't love it, is that, I was sick and I gained all this weight, and the doctor couldn't, my doctor told me I was just at that age. But I felt terrible. I ended up with COVID for 5 months. The whole thing was appalling. And it wasn't until I had to like be the advocate for myself and say, this is not right. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel, but I know it's not this. And so I interviewed some doctors and found a couple that would actually listen and help, and did all of the healthy eating and diet and, all the things that whatever they told me to do, I did, because I knew what I wanted. And even though I couldn't remember where that exact target was, I knew what my goal was.
And were you
And
successful? Did you make progress?
I absolutely did. I feel like an entirely new person. And it's been
Mm,
because of that work and because of that voice of like, this is not right. You can fix this, and you're the only one who can fix this.
yeah,
And it's one of those things where you have to do that work, and whether yeah, it will hurt, it might suck. But you know what? You're doing it, and that's what you need to remember, because that voice in your head should be cheering you on.
that's right. So
And
the message is there is you are not a lost cause when it comes to health or fitness, whatever's going on with you, you can do better. You can
yep,
get 1% better and then
yep,
another 1% better. Strength training, for example, is the fountain of youth. Even if you can only swing around 2-pound dumbbells, okay, in a week you'll be able to do three
yep,
and then four. And just, we continue making progress with flexibility and strength and stamina and balance. All of those things matter. The same thing with eating habits. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to put in the time and keep improving a little bit. And don't ever let anybody tell you there's no hope for you. I mean, there's maybe a few randoms, right? Even in the cancer front, I hear so many people saying, I was given 6 months and I'm still here 10 years later, right? Doctors are your employees. You hire a doctor.
yep.
You choose whether or not to accept their suggestions. That's all they're there for, is to give you their best ideas and then suggest a treatment. You can confirm or deny, but yeah, people should take control over their own existence in every way possible.
And I've seen that with business too. I've had clients come to me and say, I think it's too late. I've waited too long to ask for help. And the thing is after we've worked together, and I've seen these business owners turn around. Like, there's one woman who I worked with last summer for a while, and, like, whenever I see her online now, I am cheering because she is glowing. I have not seen a photo of her where she is not glowing. She is not, like, just happy with life, and her business is growing because it's a reflection of that.
Yeah.
When we're not taking care of ourselves physically and from a health perspective, it's going to impact everything.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
so it's one of those things that whether you feel like you've waited too long for your health, whether you've waited too long for your business, you know when things aren't right.
that's right.
It's deciding that you're okay asking for help, deciding to take those steps that you want to change the situation you're in, whatever aspect of your life that is.
And if folks are working in a place where they have purpose, right? This is what they were born to do, or this is what they feel like they're newly born to do. and they
Totally.
get to live in those passions every day. I'm
Mhm.
probably super annoying about my career because I love it so much. I almost insulting to call the stuff I do work. It's just so rewarding. And for me, I stand on a stage for a living, which more people would rather die than stand on a
Right?
stage to
Isn't that
talk.
a funny stat?
It works for me, but there's some version of for you, whether it's being a doctor or a firefighter or an accountant or someone who owns their own business and make your own stuff. I mean, if you love cats and you love surfing, you should be the first person to create a cat surf camp. And I believe in you. There will be some other weirdo with a cat and a surfboard and give it to you in exchange for your excellent
Mhm,
services. But yeah, this is I want everybody to feel very fulfilled,
mhm.
and I just keep going back to life is short. Life is short. It's important to pay the bills, but hopefully you can figure out a way to pay the bills in a way that fills your cup, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, I used to work in a very regulated industry, and people would always say, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that." Well, like, what if we could,
Right.
right? So if you flip it, and instead of looking at, like, it as this box that you're stuck in, what if you look at it in a different way? Like, "Okay, great. We can't do that, but look at all the things we still can do. Like, what can we do? What's still available to us?"
Right.
And most people can find their way out of that. And if you can't find your way out of that by yourself, ask somebody. Find
Right.
somebody who can give you those ideas, who can help you look at things in a different way and reframe it, because anything is possible and we can do anything.
Right.
We just need to decide we're going to, that
Right.
that's what we want to do. Because when you start to switch your frame and your perspective, more options open up, more possibilities open up, because there's always a way.
I
It
agree
might just not be the
100%.
first, yeah, it might just not be the first way you think of. I absolutely love our conversation, and I could keep talking to you, Fitz, for a much longer time. Before we go, I would love to ask you, what advice would you give to women who might be at that pivotal point of trying to figure out what they wanna do, who might be feeling overwhelmed or tired or trying to, or stuck, right?
So there's a few bits of advice I have is focus on your health and your fitness. That's you. Focus on yourself, making yourself the best version of you. All the things you ignore and don't get to. When you take care of yourself, everything has a rosier glow about it. You feel
It's
better, you're
true.
more confident, you have more energy, you sleep better, you're less tolerant of jerks.
Mhm.
Removing the cranky people from your life is a very big deal. So you don't have to be perfect. We don't have to look like a Kardashian. We just have to be the best version of us. And I promise you, if you start putting in a little more effort each day, you'll get there. I'm happy to give you tons of advice. It's all free at fitness.com. But so start with you and then go to that list, the top 10 list, things you love, things you hate, and then hopefully the thing you're going to do professionally moving forward is in alignment with that love list. And so maybe you have a chosen passion. I'm going to pursue that. Okay, then you need to make a plan. Is there education involved? Is there a certification? Is there not? Is it just practice, practice, practice? My neighbor is so funny. He's a really nice guy across the way. When I met him, he was a roadie for Limp Bizkit, which is pretty cool. And then he became an Apple repairman, which was great for me. I would just bring my laptop across the street when it was down, and then he started blowing glass. And so he's had
Oh,
all these different careers, so totally different career. One, two, three couldn't be more diverse. And now he's moving into his fourth. And so, perhaps you're like me and you found your one thing in the world you're designed to do and you do it. And that's where I am. But perhaps you're like Mr. Glenn across the way and you're going to have a few different careers, and how lovely for that. I mean, I just not everybody is designed to do that one thing the whole time. Dip your toe in. Have a little courage, if you wanna design jackets, okay, design one for yourself, and then design one for a friend, and if people think they look great, keep designing more, but baby steps for the win in every situation. I think that's probably the most effective way to go, right? Baby steps?
absolutely.
Yeah, and
Baby
then
steps, but
remember
sorry.
that you can do hard things, choosing a new career path is not cancer, it's not war, it's just you taking uh, on a new challenge in life and hopefully a really rewarding one. So, I hope you do it. I hope you do whatever it is that makes you excited to wake up every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanna thank you so much for joining us today, Fitz. Can you let people know where they can find you?
Yes, ma'am. So fitzness.com, that's FITZNESS.com is my home base for everything. There's tons of articles and workout videos, and my books are all on sale there. The Cancer Comeback Series books, my course is there, Fixing Your Life with Fitzness, and just a ton of other resources to help people live better and longer. And the great majority of it is absolutely free and available to you. If you'd like a keynote, visit me at fitzness.com. If you have a question, visit me at fitzness.com. If you want to tell me that you like my braids or you think Kendra's cool, visit me at fitzness.com. I'm also at Fitzness on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And if you follow, I promise quality content in return. But really, what I'd prefer is for you to follow and then use the comment section and say, I heard you on Kendra's podcast. And I wanted to say hi because I would much prefer new besties than just followers. And
Absolutely.
also, Kendra,
Yes.
when we got on this Zoom together or whatever, our StreamYard, I instantly thought, "Oh, I would hang out with her. I like her very much." You're so fun. I wish you were not on the complete opposite side of the country, even though we look like we're in the same room with our
I know, I know. We definitely look like we're in the same room, although mine has a, like, laser light happening right now from the sun.
Star Wars room.
It's like, "Here's where we wanna focus." No, thank you so much. I absolutely just agree with with everything you're saying. Yeah, no, it's just it's so amazing and inspiring and the journey you've been on and the story. I always envy people who know exactly what they wanna do and do it,
Yeah.
because I'm in a family like, my sister's a physical therapist, she knew when she was young, my brother's a pilot, he knew when he was young. I like to do everything.
There's nothing
But
wrong with that. I think you could do lots of things for work and then some things for pleasure, right? Can you dip your
oh,
toe?
absolutely, and I've made it I absolutely love my career path, and I love what I've done, I love what I do. It's just funny that it's like, "Oh, I wish I had found what I'm doing today a long time ago," which means that what I'm doing today, I wanna pack everything into because 'cause I'm so
Yeah,
excited to be doing it,
that's awesome.
and
It
it's
can't
that Pardon?
doesn't get any better than that.
Absolutely, and I want that for everyone. So, those of you listening, hopefully you've enjoyed I know you've enjoyed this because I have, and go check out Fitz's website, and until next time, I'm Kendra Losey. Thank you for joining us today, and remember to come see me at kendralosey.com. Thank you. Bye.